Hello and welcome back to Cricket Nerds, and it is the IPL, and CSK have got off to a winning start, which means we'll probably not win any more games because CSK historically lose their first few games and then come back later on in the season, but it's fine. It was a great day. CSK beat RCB, Royal Challengers Bengaluru, and Zach is away wiping away his tears and can't be on the podcast today. So if you didn't catch it, CSK managed to beat RCB by 6 wickets. And a lot happened. And it told us, I think, quite a lot about both teams for this year. So James, kick us off. RCB batted first. What were the main highlights that what did we learn about RCB?
I think we learned how Faf intends to play. He's going to carry on his form from last year in that he really wants to take on that power play. And that's a really good sign for RCB. They need the aggressor. He intends to be that. We also confirmed that Virat Kohli getting starved with a strike early isn't great for his innings. Yeah, he needs to be knocking it round for ones and twos so he can go through the gears. And I think he faced like 6 or 7 balls in the power play, something like that, and it just meant that he had very little in the way of, I don't know, fluidity and just continuity in his batting. And I think he felt the effects of that and got dismissed for 21 off 20, which isn't a very handy innings. What else have we learned? We've learned that they've got some decent finishers. If Anuj, Rawat and Dinesh Karthik can carry on their form, that is a very, very big positive sign for RCB's batting. And I'm really interested to know what you think about what we've learned about Chennai's bowling.
Yeah. I think if we're going down the heroes and villains route as well from last year, I think some villains on RCB side as well. Rajat Patidar is carrying on his form from the Test match series.
Seems to be a dark cloud hanging over that guy. Like I feel like he's in his head right now.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for him because it's only the start of the tournament and already he's like, you can tell he's just thinking about getting a score because, yeah, he had his shot at Test cricket and it didn't go that well. And yeah, I think he sees the IPL as maybe, well, I think most people see the IPL as his chance at kind of showing that he still has got the quality. And yeah, a 3-ball duck for him wasn't great. But
it wasn't great. It was some good bowling by the Fizz though to get him out, and then Deepak Chahar as well, getting Glenn Maxwell first ball. I think that was a massive turning point in the game because, again, Maxwell, we know how dangerous he is, and actually, if Maxwell had stuck in and was there at the end when Anuj Rawat was teeing off as well, CSK could easily have been chasing 200 plus. I think CSK in general, they bowled. It was a real mixed bag of bowling. I think Deepak Chahar looked so rusty for his first 2 overs, and then bowled an absolute jaffer to dismiss Glenn Maxwell. Tushar Deshpande carrying on his form of just, I don't know why he's in that side, but CSK obviously sees something in him. I'd have much rather seen Sadal Thakur in there because he gives a bit more with the bat and he's just a much better bowler in my opinion. The spinners did okay. I think Theekshana just kept it sort of tidy, but they were bowling okay, but going for runs. And realistically, if it wasn't for the Fizz miraculously taking 4 wickets, I think CSK could have been chasing down a lot more runs. So I was not impressed with the death bowling. That's my other thing. Villains Deshpande is death bowling because to give away 70 something runs in the last 5 overs is just, you just can't do that.
Yeah, I think the person that really kept it tight was Jadeja.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. That's his role. He's not the strike bowler. That's more of the role of the Fizz. And as a result, the Fizz ended up being quite economical, but he's more of a strike bowler. And, you know, I think that's going to be a sort of theme that we pick up throughout the IPL is what type of bowler are they? Are they there to keep things tight, to get through the overs? Like Jadeja, he bowls not only does he bowl quite fast in through the air, but his overs go quickly, and he just kind of he takes some of the overs away from the batting side. In that middle order, RCB kind of felt that, he whizzed through his 4 overs very quickly, and he only went for 21 runs. It just wasn't that big a deal. He only went for 1 boundary. So that's something that is really interesting. I think you were absolutely correct in that Deepak Chahar looked super rusty on his first 2 overs. And I don't know whether that was, and this is going to be probably the main talking point of this video, I don't know whether that was because the 2 bouncer rule that the IPL has just introduced. So
Yeah.
now a bowler is allowed to bowl 2 bouncers in the over, which is a very good thing, I think. It evens things out. It's probably my favorite rule that they've added in, just because I've only seen it for 1 game, but it's already the match between bat and ball. The playing field is slightly more level because it gives that bowler the extra option. However, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think it was fumbled a little bit because there were a lot of wides bowled. And that was from people really trying to get the ball short and overdoing it a bit. Chennai bowled 10 wides, I believe. And RCB ended up
RCB bowled 8, but actually, I mean, there was at least 2 balls that RCB bowled that sailed over batsmen's heads that weren't given as wides.
Yeah, and 4 byes and things like that. So yeah, it was not very good from that perspective. I do want to talk about RCB's bowling in comparison, because I think there are some definite contrasts to be made. I think death bowling is an issue with both teams.
Yes.
And that's definitely something that we could see play out over the course of this tournament. I also thought that RCB were a lot more conscious of matchups than Chennai. Chennai just, it helps that RCB have a lot of right-handers, but which meant that Ravi Jadeja could just bowl all 4 of his overs, not really think about it. But the left arm spinner for RCB is Mayank Dagar,
yeah.
and I've never seen him play. I knew very little about him, but he really impressed with the 2 overs that he bowled. He got turn. He was putting it pretty much on the same spot, and it was very difficult for the batters to get away. He only bowled 2 overs, and that was because there was Jadeja and Shivam Dube at the crease at that point. However, it raises the question once again of how much emphasis should we put on matchups? Because if he's bowling well, he probably is going to bowl well still, even if it's a left-hander. Don't know. What do you think?
I agree so much. Look at the test series that we've just had. Jadeja was bowling to right-handers, he was bowling to left-handers, and he was being effective against everybody. I think when we take the time and care too much about the matchups and not actually just bowling your best bowler, it causes a problem. Like Mayank Dagar, he bowled 2 overs for 6 runs. And then for some reason, there's RCB bowling Glenn Maxwell, who's a part-timer, and gets hit for a 6. Yeah, he keeps a couple of the balls quite tight, but he goes for 7 in his over, which is more than Dagar went for in entirely, and that was literally just because he was a off spinner bowling to 2 left-handers. So yeah, 100%. I think that this onus on bowling at matchups, especially in the white ball game, has just it is way out of proportion. Look, teams have their plans and they'll bowl according to their plans, and that's where we'll go. Look, Ravindra didn't bowl today. He's a very handy bowler. And again, that's just for the sheer number of right-handers that RCB have, I think, in my view. Just touching on Chennai's batting then, because there were moments of good and moments of bad. I think Ravindra was a real hero for me, getting CSK off to a really good start. If he's going to come out and hit 15 ball 37s every single time, I am more than happy with that. That was a phenomenal start from the young boy. replacing Devon Conway. Very different style to Devon Conway. Devon Conway, another Kiwi left-hander, but he's very much, let's knock it around a bit, let's get in and play myself in and then go big. Whereas Ravindra is just going from ball one, which was a concern that we had in the draft, if you remember back, because we thought Ravindra needs time to get in. Well, he's proved us all wrong today and looked phenomenal. And
I think it shows really good adaptability from his part.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I think that's obviously the way that Chennai said they want him to bat, and he completely fulfilled that. We've seen that he has got the ability to go through the gears and play that kind of mature innings, if you want to call it that, anchor innings. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that ability to go from ball one like he did was invaluable, and it really broke the back of the chase. Obviously, RCB were about, how many runs short would you say? 15 runs short?
At least, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think it was about a 190 pitch, probably. It actually looked quite good. But yeah, like straight away, the chase was kind of, the hard work was done early, and it just meant that, you know, a reasonable strike rate was required from the latter batsman. I want to know, was Shivam Dube a hero or a villain in your eyes?
He was a Hillen.
or a Vero.
Well, he should have hit the winning runs, but RCB's stupid review took that away from him. I just want to touch on reviewing as well. Like, RCB used so many reviews today. I think reviewing wides and no balls is the worst thing to ever happen to the game of cricket. Okay, comment on that down below. We'll leave that for the comments, but it's just an awful rule. Anyway, Shivam Dube, yeah, it was a mix because it took him a long time to get in. He spent 2 overs not really being able to time anything, but then did manage to hit a couple of boundaries, hit a big 6, and really sealed the run chase. He got it down to a running ball. It made it look easy for CSK. So I think, yeah, he was a neutral, I would say. He could have been a villain had he not gone through the gears and managed to get those runs. Look, it's hard to come in as an impact player and immediately have an impact on the game. When you're playing the game of cricket, if you're bowling first as a batter, you still get a bit out of that innings. Like, you understand how the pitch is working, you get the vibe of the atmosphere. Whereas Dube is just coming out from the sidelines and coming straight on into bat. So yeah, and he's trained for that, and he's a professional, and that's his job. But it's a bit harder to just jump straight into that atmosphere, in my view. So yeah, it took him a bit of time. I'm a bit sad that we didn't get to see Samir Rizvi, because he's obviously been picked ahead of like some good players. And he's been picked in the side, like ahead of Dube in the starting 11. So it was a shame not to see him today. It would have been interesting to see what he had. But yeah, any other things you want to point out from the game? What about Jadeja? It was a very standard Jadeja day, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, he was very, very solid, and you didn't really notice him. So you're absolutely right. It was a classic Jadeja day. He's so useful, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's good in the field. He bowled incredibly well, and he did exactly what he needed to with the bat with a very cool head. I think the only thing I want to pick up on is RCB's bowling, because I think there are plenty of heroes and villains there. For example, a hero, Mayank Dagar.
Yeah.
A hero, I'd say, is Cameron Green, even though he bowled a lot of wides, three wides. I would say that a villain, though, is Alzari Joseph, because I would say that Joseph and Green have the same role. They are both strike bowlers. They're not there to keep things tight. They're there to take wickets. And they just, I think Green was a little bit more clever with the way he used the bouncer. Yes, he gave away some wides, and he wasn't always as composed. I think his first legal delivery went for 7 technically, because he bowled a wide and then it was hit for 6. But he came back really well, took 2 important wickets, and RCB did actually look like they were on top at one point. and all they needed to do was keep the pressure on. And it was the series of wides and the 4 buys from bouncers that really alleviated the pressure from Chennai and meant that there was no real panic. And they have, for as long as I can remember, Chennai have always been the level-headed team. They are there to, not get too ahead of themselves and not despair. They're just, well, we will chase down this score. We'll get there eventually, and that's kind of the way they do it. Very MS Dhoni style. So I think they needed to keep it a little bit tighter, a little bit more spin in the middle overs would have been nicer to see, and just a little bit more Mayank Dagar and Glenn Maxwell even. I'd like to see him get bowled a little bit more, because he bowled 4 dots in his over. 1 got hit for 6, but that's what happens when you're bowling spin.
Yeah.
And I really think they dropped the ball on not bowling more spin in the middle overs, concentrating on just bowling that short ball delivery over and over again, which I think has its merits, but not when you're not keeping it tight. And you got to keep it around that shoulder armpit height if you're going to make it really effective.
Yeah, I was just, more than anything today, I was just confused because with this team, and I was confused with RCB's bowling, because if you look at their squad, they do have some good bowlers, right? They have some fantastic bowlers in there. Akashdeep as well has performed fantastically well. We didn't see him today. Reece Topley's in there as well. Like Lockie Ferguson, I don't know if he's not available for whatever reason. Have I just?
I thought I was quite
Akashdeep?
surprised. I'm with you. I was quite surprised when they named Alzari Joseph, because I thought they'd put Reece Topley in, because he's not as much of a strike bowler. He is an opening bowler that keeps it quite tight and will take wickets through that. But Joseph and Green, like I say, same kind of role.
Yeah,
I'd say Lockie Ferguson is the same kind of role as well, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But on a pitch that looked quite conducive to spin, which you'd expect at Chepawak Stadium, it seemed odd to me that they didn't find somebody to keep it tight, especially up front, because you saw how the Fizz bowled, you saw how much swing Deepak Chahar was getting in the first over. It made sense to bring somebody that could actually give it some turn.
It was just really odd, I think, just some really strange choices, because they came, like we've said from the draft, that we think RCB are going to struggle with their spinners this year, but actually their spinners looked better than their seamers. Realistically, I think there was a couple of good overs that Cameron Green bowled, but we thought that they'd be struggling with their spin, and that was going to be one of
Khan
their issues.
Sharma didn't look good.
I mean, Khan Sharma's, I don't know why he's in that team. He's a leg spinner.
He's pretty much the only leg.
But you've got Mayank Dagar in there as well. So I think, like, if he takes that role of primary spinner, then look, we always knew they were going to have an issue with their spin bowlers all the way through the season, because they really dropped the ball losing Hasaranga. If they can even fit in Will Jacks into that side as well, that just gives something extra in the spin department. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what RCB can do. But I was just a bit confused by them today, realistically. Yash Dayal being there, impact player as well. Like, again, it was surprising to see him rather than Akashdeep in my view. Maybe he gives something different from the left arm angle. It does seem that RCB have just inherited the Gujarat bowling attack and tried to get that success. Like Alzari Joseph, Lockie Ferguson, Yash Dayal, like they've just inherited this bowling attack, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Let's just use them. And it just hasn't quite paid off yet, I don't think. But there we go.
But no reason to catastrophize if you are a Royal Challengers Bengaluru fan. It's only the first game. And at the same time, and I know you won't, but if you're a Chennai fan, don't get carried away, because it is just the first game. But they're all very level-headed people, so no worries about that. So hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, become a member for more exclusive content and stuff, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.